Well, hello everyone. Welcome to AmeriCorps Vista. This should be your first day of service. Hopefully you just got to your site. And this is the first webinar of your orientation, launching your Vista service. I'm Calvin Landrum.
And I'm Jessica Birch.
And we'll be your hosts today from Vista headquarters in DC. Before we get started with our presentation, we'd like to take a second. We have a very special guest with us here in the room. We have Mr. Max Thinberg, Director of Vista. Hello, Max.
Hello, Calvin. Hello, Jessica. And hello to all of you new Vistas. My congratulations and thanks. I am excited to welcome you to an amazing family of volunteers in service to America. You are part of an amazing half-century of history of folks who have dedicated a year or more of their lives to serving our country and serving their communities in a variety of ways to address and alleviate poverty. And so it's a very auspicious day to welcome you into that family and that legacy. The day after the September 11th commemoration of the attacks 15 years ago. I was working here in Washington, D.C., block from the Capitol as we were evacuated as the fourth plane was on its way toward us, saw the pillars of smoke and heard the explosions at the Pentagon, and remember that day as the families of those who lost their lives have asked that this would be a remembrance not just for those who lost their lives, but also a way of serving others. And so yesterday and today on the National Mall, Vistas and others came together to package meals for senior citizens, and there were service projects all around the country. What you are embarking on as you start your year of service is a whole year of that, and I am very, very grateful for that. Last week, I was in North Dakota meeting with a few Vistas and some Vistas supervisors and some potential projects, and got to meet a tribal chairman. He's chairman of the Sisseton Wahpeton Sioux tribe that's both in North Dakota and South Dakota. And when I introduced myself, he said, "My mom was a Vista. She came to my reservation, to our reservation, because she wanted to serve one of the poorest communities in the whole country. And that's how she met my father, and that's why I'm here. So I'm grateful for Vista." And I can't tell you how many stories I, as the director, have been privileged to hear about, "Oh yeah, I was a Vista, or my parents were, or my brother was, or sister." So you are part of that. I am excited for all of the various kind of projects you'll be doing all around the country that will plant the seeds. You might not be able to see the harvest for all of them. You might not be able to see all of the impact you're making, but I can guarantee you that the work you do this year will have a lasting impact in people's lives. And I just wanted to say those few words as you kick off your service and this time together. I am grateful that you would be willing to sacrifice. You're not going to make a lot of money, but the experience that you're going to have and the ability to serve others will plant seeds that will bear much fruit long after your time of service is done. And so with that, I want to turn it back to Calvin and Jessica, but just end with how I started, which is a huge thank you. I appreciate your service. I appreciate what you're about to do, and I'm excited for all of the impact that you're going to have.
Definitely. Thanks, Max. Appreciate it. Thanks for dropping on in.
Max is our fearless leader here.
Our
so
fearless leader.
Everything he does.
There's a good chance you guys will probably maybe see him on one of his many tour stops. You know, Max gets around. He gets around to all the different communities, and he likes to visit with Vista. So maybe you guys will see him out there over the course of your year. All right. Thanks, Max. So again, welcome to AmeriCorps Vista. You're about to join a national movement with a very, very rich history. There's over 370 Vistas representing 43 states on this webinar alone. You are rounding up the summer in which over 3,600 Vistas join the program. Right now, there's more than 5,000 Vistas serving in rural and urban areas in all 50 states and several territories and tribal nations. If you believe that we have a responsibility to bring an end to poverty and are committed to working within communities, well, you've joined the right program. And based on the responses in our chat activity, it looks like your interests and motivations are really well aligned with VISTA. Volunteers in Service to America, or VISTA, have been supporting and at times leading the charge for social equity for more than 50 years. Our strength comes from the talent, motivation, and energy of our members. That's you guys, soon to be you. So I want to say thank you again for stepping up to share your skills and passion to serve the community. Seeing your comments in the chat activity before the session began, it seems that many of you were attracted to VISTA because of this legacy. It looks like you guys are, here to fight poverty and because you just generally want to make a change in communities, which is admirable, and thank you for that. So it's an honor for me to welcome you on behalf of the VISTA program. I also hope you feel the warmth and support from your fellow VISTAs. Throughout this orientation, and not just this webinar, we're going to try to help you make connections with each other.
So what are we hoping to get out of this webinar? So we hope that you'll be able to describe what PSO Blend is, what you're participating in is, what is this thing that we told you you're attending, and how you can participate fully in it. Also, we want you to know what the mission of VISTA is, the history of VISTA, and outline its programmatic principles. What is VISTA all about? What are our priorities? Also, how to show how your individual VISTA assignments relate to VISTA's mission overall. So some of you said that you were working with human trafficking victims. Some of you said you were working in schools. But how does that relate to what VISTA's overall mission is? And then we most importantly want you to be able to enter VISTA's service well-informed and feel prepared and confident in the year that you're about to undertake.
Totally. So with that being said, let's jump in and let's talk about what is PSO Blend. I know we send you all those emails and people talk about PSO Blend this, the PSO Blend that. So let's break it down. Let's talk about it. So if this were, a face-to-face training, we'd have to talk about housekeeping issues. Things like, well, where are the breakout rooms? What group are you in? When do you eat? Reminders not to smoke in your room. But we also need to do that in a virtual training. VISTA's pre-service orientation, just like any orientation, is designed to provide you with the fundamental information and resources to start you off well. This can be done in a number of ways. Face-to-face, in-person training on one end of the spectrum, and online training on the other. You're in an orientation that has combined online tutorials and webinars with in-person training and action learning at your VISTA site. In other words, this is a blend of components that fall along the training spectrum. You see that? You see what we did there? PSO Blend.
Whoa, that blew my mind, Calvin.
Technically, the PSO Blend began with those self-directed courses you took earlier on the VISTA campus. And this webinar is the kickoff to a facilitated 4-week curriculum. So the PSO Blend is a classroom without walls. Action learning rather than classroom learning. And instead of a front-loaded learning program, the PSO Blend gives you an opportunity to apply what you're learning while you're doing it. Like service learning, our aim is to create time for you to reflect on what you're doing.
But let's be honest, okay? Calvin, can we be honest right now?
Let's be honest.
All right. Pausing to reflect runs counter to our culture more often than not. For example, we almost always pride ourselves on our multitasking abilities. In fact, you're probably doing it now. You're texting, snacking, half listening, playing Pokemon Go. You're doing all that fun stuff. So the thought of stopping out, like an hour out for an activity or something else to identify what you've learned and what you value and what lesson we will carry with us is often counter to our character and is outside of what we generally value. So if you add our need for speed to this process, then we could really start to push your buttons.
But, on the positive side, you're already at your site, and you can bring real issues to the training. You can also you can go to your supervisor and get project-level information and answers that we just kind of can't provide at a regional face-to-face PSO. The PSO Blend also provides flexibility for sponsors to bring on new VISTAs when they need them because we in the VISTA program can expand or shrink, create or cancel, just in order to meet our sponsors and our community's needs. And any problems with travel are removed. So we hope that you'll agree that while there may be challenges and benefits to this training model, the blend is your best option.
So the onboarding forms in My AmeriCorps and the tutorials on the campus are the pieces of the blend that you've already completed. Congratulations, you did it. You got it all done. So we built the curriculum based on you having carefully reviewed those tutorials. We don't want to waste your time reviewing for you what you've already reviewed. But the information that we've given you and the materials are essential. So things like living allowance amounts and when you're going to get paid, health care, your state taxes on your allowance. By the way, state taxes aren't taken out. Education award versus a stipend, what should I choose? How many leave days do you get? And so much more. So we don't want you to be thrown out of the program because you didn't understand the rules. Or that next April you're facing state taxes because you didn't understand the tax implications of your benefits. So we will hold you responsible for having read and accepted the terms, benefits, and conditions of service. If there are aspects of your service you do not understand, the next few days is the time to raise those questions, either with your supervisor or with your, those things would be about your project or assignment, or the National Service Hotline and the VISTA Member Support Unit about policy or your benefits. That said, on Wednesday, we're going to talk more about some of those more complicated issues about your benefits, but only very briefly. And then we're going to point you to follow-up webinars in our regular professional development series to have a deeper dive into those.
Yeah. So if you look at that information sheet that was emailed to you, today is listed as day one, as it's the first day of service on your site. And here we are on that webinar. We will administer the oath of service at the end of this webinar, which is your official entrance into VISTA. You'll then be given 2 documents from your supervisor today, the oath of service to sign and return, and 2 fingerprint cards with instructions. The oath needs to be signed and returned today. The fingerprints need to be completed and returned within 5 weeks, but the sooner the better, honestly. The fingerprints are needed, as you know, to conduct a criminal background check.
So, as I mentioned, on Wednesday of this week, we're going to come back together to share more about how the VISTA's development model works in communities and close out the webinar portion of our PSO Blend experience. Meanwhile, your supervisor will provide you with an on-site orientation and training, also known as OSOT. That training will introduce you to the organization and the community you're serving in and discussing your VISTA assignment with you, essentially your job description. So interspersed into your work, you'll also have some field work to do, which we'll follow up with you on during our virtual meetups.
Yeah. Speaking of virtual meetups, the virtual meetups are made up of about 30 of you guys and a facilitator. You'll explore what you're learning about your organization and your community and take a close look at your VISTA assignment.
Weeks 3 and 4 focus on poverty, both nationally and locally, which is what the VISTA program is all about. In week 3, you'll develop a community profile, which is a fascinating process that you can use in guiding your work. And in week 4, you'll again gather with your online classmates in a virtual meetup and then complete the orientation.
Yeah. So on a technical level, which can be a little challenging, we're using 3 systems or platforms to conduct the PSO Blend. The first one is the campus, which you've already used for the online tutorials. You know, the VISTA campus is where you went into the terms and conditions, you looked at the VISTA's Benefits Hub, you did the Mission and Legacy course, all that good stuff. You're also going to use WebEx, which is what you're using now. That's where we're looking at this presentation, where you're chatting, you're Q&A. And the third is going to be the online classroom, which you'll visit later. We'll give you the instructions for that a little bit later in this presentation, so don't freak out about it yet. Well, the technology isn't really necessarily hard, but we do want you to be aware that there are 3 systems, and each one has its own address and serves a different purpose.
That's right, Calvin. So as we mentioned, you're going to be part of a group of 30 VISTAs in an online facilitated classroom. As you can see right now, there's over 300 of us in this room right now, which doesn't really lend itself to great specialized training. So that's why we put you in smaller groups for your classrooms. You'll complete a number of assignments that will guide you in exploring issues of poverty and how your assignments were developed to address those issues. You'll also deepen your understanding of capacity building, which is really at the foundation of your service of VISTA. The online class is a learning environment with an opportunity to share and develop your ideas and experience with the facilitator in a small group through regularly scheduled virtual meetups and class forums. We can't stress enough how important it is to develop a connection with the VISTA community, and we do understand that it is a challenge in a virtual environment. You're not sharing dinner with 100 people. You don't have a roommate, but on the positive side, you don't have a roommate, and you're not eating hotel food. But connecting and feeling supported by people involved in work like yours demands more of you when communicating from a distance. The classroom with its meetups and forums is really just the first step at connecting, but there is so much more.
Just the first step. So right after this webinar, you'll receive an email with step-by-step instructions for logging into the online classroom. Again, right after this webinar is over, you're going to receive an email, so make sure you're checking that with instructions for logging into the online classroom. Remember, the classroom site is not the VISTA campus. They are two different places. The email will be sent to the address in your My AmeriCorps account. Please look for it and take a minute to log in today. Please, I can't stress enough, log in today to make sure that you're in there and that you can get in, that you're ready to go, for your assignments and all that good stuff. Messages from your facilitator and your VISTA colleagues and your coursework are all located on the site. If you have any trouble logging in after receiving the instructions, we are here to help you, and we're always here to help you. You can send an email to anyone and we'll get back to you. But if you have any trouble logging in or trouble with the online classroom, please send an email to the email listed on your screen, vistacourses@educationnorthwest.org. If you need to, take a picture of it, write it down, do whatever you need to do so that you have that email address, so that when you go to log into that online classroom, if you have any issues, you can email them and we can get you some assistance.
Right, and remember, as Calvin said, it's the email address you have listed in your My AmeriCorps account. You may have now gotten an email address for your organization, but that's more than likely not what's in your My AmeriCorps, so please make sure to check your personal email. So what is your role in pre-service orientation? Well, it's pretty simple, but it's not necessarily easy. We need you to participate, and we hope that you participate with an open mind and heart. Navigating the system and showing up is step one. Being authentic, communicating with intent of being influenced as well as supportive is the second step. And like we said before, patience and reflection is not one of our cultural strong points, but they're essential to your success in Blend and in your service. So please, take time to learn about your assignment, which we call a VAD, VISTA Assignment Description. We do love our acronyms, and plan your next steps. Draw on your facilitators in your class in addition to your supervisor and colleagues at site. You guys are already doing that in the chat. You're connecting with one another. Keep that up throughout your service.
Totally. Answering questions, seeing where people are from.
I know. I love it. And along with that, being mindful and planful. Please meet the deadlines. And just a note about onboarding forms and coursework. Everything needs to be done by close of business today. So what I mean by your onboarding forms and coursework, that's, your direct deposit information, your terms and conditions need to be done, all of that. It should be done by now, but if not, you have until midnight tonight to complete them. Otherwise, we cannot enter you into service or pay you your living allowance. And I don't think I see anybody raise their hand saying they don't want to get paid.
Totally, totally. So make sure those forms get done because we want to pay you also. It makes our life a lot easier too.
Yes.
All right. So let's move on. We have finished with the housekeeping. All the good, boring stuff is out of the way, but we have to say it. It's important. So if you have any questions, either let us know in the Q&A section, ask us later in the webinar, or ask your supervisor. So we want to get to know a little bit more about you. So answer in the chat box. Let's see. What excites you the most about your assignment, about becoming a VISTA member? You can use that chat on the right side of the screen, and let's see what you guys say.
Yeah, what tasks or projects are you looking forward to doing?
We've got this little convo about Cali going on right now.
I know. Maybe that's what they're most excited about. They get to serve in California.
Totally. Let's see. Jordan says, providing food assistance to some of the most needed communities and people of Pittsburgh.
Ooh, look at Madeline said, learning more about how to connect people to food. I love it.
Love that. What do we got? Working behind the scenes with kids' education. I love that. It's a passion of mine. I'm super into that.
Aw, James, I just want to love my neighbors.
Love your neighbor. I love all my neighbors.
Oh, this is seeing the look on kids' faces when they 3D print their first parts.
Alex, I hope you go by Alex. Alex, I 3D printed something once, and you're probably talking about the face that I made. I was like, oh, this is so cool. I can only imagine how great kids are going to be.
Let's see.
Working on a panel on juvenile justice, that is more in line with, I love that stuff.
Ooh, serving the Spanish-speaking population who can be underserved in disasters. That's really interesting.
Introducing children to my favorite sport, skiing. All right, Christina. I've never skied. I don't do winter sports because I don't like the cold.
Aw, man.
I enjoy being in cabins, though.
Cocoa, the fire.
Yeah, I'll cook all day.
Working with persons with disabilities and looking forward to helping others gain housing while developing my own professional skills.
You guys are doing so many great things. Again, keep on sharing, as we're going through this. It's wonderful to see all of the good stuff that you guys are doing, and this is motivating me for sure. Robotics and kids equals awesomeness. Agreed.
Ooh.
All right, so, as you can see, the VISTA program has an incredible diversity of projects, and yours will hopefully be the toughest job you've ever loved. Plus, as you can see, you're in good company. I mean, you guys are doing all kinds of wonderful things. Take a look through there. If you see someone kind of doing something similar, go ahead and write down their name, so you can connect them later and talk about your project. Yeah, I mean, there's so many chances here. Some simple advice, maybe sounding a little trite. Really, though, hold on to what interests and excites you. That's what's going to get you through a year. Kind of remembering that passion that you started with. If it helps, go ahead and write it down and make yourself a note. 3 months from now, come back and read it and, get fired up again. I do that often. I always make myself reminders and notes to go back and look at things, and it definitely helps, to keep that passion and remember why you started doing this in the first place.
Maybe start a time capsule, a little time capsule, a VISTA time capsule. Do it right when you start. Today's your first day, a little time capsule. Come back to it in 6 months, in a year.
Yeah.
Where were you? What were your feelings on this first day?
That is such a good idea. I love that.
Calvin, we're going to do that for our friendship, a time capsule.
All right, so we're going to shift gears a little bit, and we want to take a look at what the VISTA program is really all about.
So I don't know if any of you are history buffs, but I sure am, so this is my favorite topic to talk about. So a legacy of expanding economic opportunity, that's what this is all about. So we're going to
I'm sorry, what was that? I said that really fast.
I'm sorry, a legacy of expanding economic opportunity.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you, Calvin. As we're just getting to know one another, we're going to take a look at a few milestones of history that have led us up to this moment. So, non-military national service was proposed in an essay by Henry James, or William James, depending on what you're looking at. The Moral Equivalent of War, published in 1910. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was a student of James at Harvard and was one of the first elected leaders to apply James's concepts to public policy. As president, to lift the nation out of the Great Depression, Roosevelt created an alphabet soup of programs and federal corporations, the CCC, WPA, SSA, FDIC, and these were inspirations, if not blueprints, for NCCC, AmeriCorps, and the Corporation for National and Community Service.
Do you know what FDIC stands for? If anyone,
do you?
No, I don't. If anyone knows, please put it in the chat because I always see, remember, FDIC for banks, but I don't know what FDIC actually stands for.
Yeah,
so if anyone knows in the chat, please let us know because 10 points to you.
10 points to Gryffindor. Ooh, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, I think.
Oh, cool. Thanks, Jamie. Appreciate it. Oh, yeah, they got it. Oh, they've got it. They're good. All right, so in 1961, President Kennedy established the Peace Corps and rejuvenated from Roosevelt's New Deal the idea of a corps of volunteers with a living allowance and training support. We are your training support. And in creating the Peace Corps, Kennedy went on record to say that the wisdom of the idea was that someday we'd bring it home to America. Enter President Johnson, who created the Office of Economic Opportunity, and within that office established, among others, Senior Corps, Job Corps, Head Start, and the true bearer of the legacy, VISTA.
Woo!
Woo, woo, woo. Our first volunteers were assigned, as the newspapers read back then, to the hollows of Appalachia, the slums of Hartford, Connecticut, and the camps of migrant farm workers in California. Johnson said to those first Vistas, which really remains true today. The initials of your organization spell Vista. It's an appropriate name, for you will be opening up new vistas of hope for the poor, achievement for yourself, and greatness for your nation.
Look at it. That's such a legacy to live up to. I love it.
Megan says the slums of Hartford. I know. It was a while ago.
We didn't
Hartford
say it. Yeah.
probably used to be kind of slummy.
So in 1993, Vista joined AmeriCorps, created by President Bill Clinton, and today is part of a family of national service programs, including AmeriCorps State National Grants, the Social Innovation Fund, or SIF, and AmeriCorps NCCC, FEMA Corps, and Senior Corps. In the 50-plus years of the VISTA program, some, 200,000 VISTAs have served. So who are these alumni, you may be wondering? Well, my good old buddy George, some people call him George R.R. Martin, the author of Game of Thrones, served as a VISTA. Anybody watch or read Game of Thrones? Yeah? Senator Jay Rockefeller of West Virginia, Jack Garrity, CEO of Land O'Lakes, Great Butter, Congresswoman Gwen Moore of Wisconsin. Those are just a few of the 200,000.
I'm sorry, Great Butter.
Great Butter.
Land O'Lakes
butter.
They make all right butter.
All right.
I'd say it's like a nice mid-range
maybe
great
she's
butter.
listening to this right now. I got to tell her it's great butter, man. But if you're aiming to be famous because you served in VISTA, you may want to rethink that plan.
Mary Columbus says, I'm only here for the T-shirts. Mary, well, do we have a surprise for you? Stick with us. All right, so when asked to describe VISTA, this is our elevator speech. The VISTA program strengthens organizations that alleviate poverty through the mobilization of volunteers and resources. Again, that's one of those things you might want to take a picture of, write it down, so if you're ever asked, hey, well, what do you do? Or well, what is VISTA? That's what you can tell them. Let's see. There are 4 principles that underpin the program. 1, ending poverty. 2, empowering communities. 3, building capacity. And 4, creating sustainable solutions.
So let's talk about ending poverty, the first one there. So every VISTA project and every VISTA member aims to alleviate or end poverty, one person, one family, or one block at a time. As you can see, the statistics are sobering if not shocking. 1 in 5 children live in poverty. 4 out of 5 of the people in the U.S. live in danger of poverty. It's really sad that we live in one of the richest countries in the world and this is still prevalent.
Agreed. But luckily we have VISTAs who are working to get these numbers down and alleviate some of this.
True.
So, empowering communities, let's talk about that one. In contrast, to sort of just parachuting in and doing good things for people, VISTAs live among and involve community members in planning and carrying out their projects. This is often facilitated by your sponsor, but strengthening and improving the community is our long-term goal.
And building capacity. So what is it when we say building capacity? VISTAs, which is your job, is to increase either the size of a project or increase the number of people who are touched by the project, or maybe even to improve the efficiency of a project so that it takes less, whether that's less manpower or less resources, to perform the same work. Or improve the impact the project has on the community, reaching more people, reaching others that you haven't reached before, all of those things.
Training more volunteers, giving more people services.
It's true, making people, translating things so people can, who didn't have access to otherwise now do, serving whole new communities.
Totally. And our 4th, sort of principle is based around sustainability and creating sustainable solutions. So whether you're developing or creating a process, an IT system, materials, or resources, we ask that you develop them in such a way that people will want and be able to use them once you're gone, even after the very last VISTA leaves your site.
Yeah, I think some people even say that VISTAs work themselves out of a job. They create it so efficiently that they're no longer needed because you did things so efficiently that, that work is now taking care of itself.
Totally, and we hope that's what you guys are able to do. So these 4 principles guide community development for us. Community work requires coordination, even collaboration, and working together towards long-range goals. Progress is sometimes slow and incremental. It can be a little frustrating when things, kind of aren't moving as fast as you want them to, but don't get bummed out by that. Our work isn't just about fixing stuff. It's about, sharing perspectives and sharing different skills. capacity building and sustainability are deep and very challenging issues. In the next couple of weeks, we'll point to resources to build your understanding and skills.
You know, I always think about, I'm sure most of you watched the video in the Vistas History and Mission. The woman, the legacy video, the woman said, you know, when I look closely, I can't see change, but when I step back, I see good change and things to come. Like, you see it doesn't come so quick, which is hard, you know, we like things quick, but it's really that development and the capacity building that really takes some time.
Totally.
So the VAD, we've been talking about the VAD, the VISTA Assignment Description. This is your work plan. It is derived from the project application, developed between your project, the community that you're serving, and VISTA representatives. So everyone kind of has a stake in it. Everyone kind of comes to a consensus. We and your sponsor use the VISTA assignment description to account for your work and measure the organization's progress towards its goals. And like a work plan, it's also important to your supervisor to recruit, support, and coach you throughout your year. Excuse me. Ask your supervisor for a copy of the project application. The narrative section identifies the community need, describes the project's interventions to address that need or aspiration, and specifies a goal that describes the impact the project will have on the community for the life of the project.
Which is typically, I guess, about 3 years. By accomplishing the activities in your VAD, you help meet the organization's performance objectives, which contribute to meeting the community need. You may be the first, the second, or even the third VISTA in as many years to serve at your organization. You may be alone or serving with other VISTAs. In either case, the application and your VAD are your blueprints for service. So we're going to focus on them in the next week or so. Everyone should see their VAD. If you haven't received it, you don't know what we're talking about, ask your supervisor for that because it's going to be instrumental and foundational to your service. You need to have that VAD.
You need to have that VAD.
Need to have that VAD. I like that rhymes. We're going to use that in the future. So your VAD should include a project goal, which is usually derived from the goal statement on your project application. And, you know, one or more objectives, which describes what you will achieve by the end of your service year. The member activities delineate specifically what you'll be doing. Those activities that are designed to add up to the objective and the objectives to the goal. Each of you has, has your own VAD, no matter how many of you are serving at a certain project. In the coming weeks, you're going to have a fieldwork assignment related to your VAD, a worksheet to help you tease out the VAD's various elements and help you use it effectively. The fieldwork includes you and your supervisor, so you'll have plenty of guidance from the start.
So Calvin, you know I like to be a little bit tricky.
Yeah.
You know I like to ask some tough questions.
Ask the tough questions.
So now we have a poll question coming up, okay?
Whew, okay, I'm ready.
All right, so the question is, what do you think is the most important thing to know well at the beginning of your service? So before you answer quickly, because you see all the options, first, should you know the VISTA program well? Things like its mission, what you get when serving, prohibitions. What about the community that you're serving in? Is it important to have lived in that community for some time? Or is it okay to be new? The organization where you're serving, is it important to have volunteered at that organization before and know its inner workings? What about the specifics of your VAD? I mean, how important is it to know if you've done other similar work?
Sure.
Here's where it gets even trickier. Should it be yourself, like your values, or your strengths, your weaknesses, or your must-haves? This is a thinker, a doozy, I'd like to say.
A doozy.
A doozy. So, people, use the poll. On the poll here, make your selection. I'm asking Calvin, but I'm also asking you. What do you think is the most important thing to know well at the beginning of service?
Yeah, let's see. That's hard. For me, it's hard because there's no, I don't think there's, a right answer to this. It's just, kind of based on what you might think it is.
I mean, yeah, you want to know the community. You want to know kind of what you're getting into, you know.
I'm going to wait for the poll to close before giving my answer.
Oh,
it actually just closed. So, for me, I think it's most important to know yourself, know your strengths, weaknesses, sort of know, what you're good at and what you're going to be able to bring to your project. I think that's kind of what you need to know before you can help somebody else. You got to know yourself, I think,
All right. Well, let's see what everyone else said.
Let's see what they said.
The anticipation is killing me, guys. I have to tell you. Ooh.
There we go.
Oh, Calvin, you got it right.
Again, I don't think there's a right answer to this one. But I think that we got 120 people said yourself, followed closely by the specific skills for your VAD, which I think is also very important to know, and know that well.
Yeah.
And know what you need to learn, what you have to gain, what you're bringing to the table, and what you can still get.
I like it. And you know what? It doesn't mean that none of these aren't important. All of these are important. So good job, guys.
Yeah, totally. Let's see. I feel like someone said, know thyself when you are applying. Learn your community and organization over time, either VAD or VISTA, I think.
I like these.
It says, I agree. You cannot help others without knowing yourself and your strengths and weaknesses, whatever they are. So thank you so much, guys, for your answers. Again, continue to chat it up in the chat. Chat it up in the chat.
Chat.
All right. So we said that your VISTA assignment description, or your VAD, accounts for your work. So let's take a look at some of the things VISTAs have accomplished recently so you have a sense of what you might be doing. And these are the measurables, not the intangibles, which are often the most interesting. So in 2015, VISTAs built a capacity of more than 3,000 nonprofits and public agencies. They secured $222 million in cash and in-kind donations for their sponsors. That's more than twice what Congress has given AmeriCorps Vista to run the entire program.
Wait, can you say that again?
Sure, I sure can. Vistas secured $222 million in cash and in-kind donations, which is more than double what we were given to run this entire program. So Vistas are providing 2-for-1 benefit. Look at that. Look at that.
It's like a BOGO, but it's better.
But better, yeah, better than a BOGO. Vistas in 2015 recruited, trained, and assigned 1.2 million community volunteers. That means for every Vista serving in 2015, he or she brought in another 154 volunteers to serve their clients, their community, their organization directly. Oh, and just one more stat. The National Center for Children in Poverty estimates 16 million children in the U.S., or about 1 in 5, as we said earlier, live below the poverty line. This has made it possible for their sponsors to serve 2.4 million of those children in after-school programs, tutoring, and by getting assistance in food security.
That's amazing. You guys do some great work. I mean, I know you guys are just getting on your first day, but you guys are doing some wonderful work already.
Totally. So, the impact that you make this year really is really going to depend on you. It depends on your community, your project, and honestly, just a little bit of good luck. So we want to know in the chat question, what impact do you hope to make as a Vista? And by impact, what we mean is, what will be the end result of your Vista service? What will happen as a consequence of your success? If you're successful in your Vista project, what happens? For example, a sustainable volunteer program for the organization, maybe a coalition of community groups working together more effectively as a result of your effort.
We're getting some chat answers in here. So let's see, Samuel said, even helping one person change the cycle of poverty means a ton. Systematic change.
Great. Let's see, I would love to find a permanent location and funding for the Head Start program where I live. Awesome.
See, people will be more aware of ways to gain income to lift themselves out of poverty.
If I succeed in my service, I honestly don't think it will have much of an impact. No. There are only certain parts of this town that are ridden with poverty. Interesting. All right, interesting take on it.
Lauren here said more under-resourced kids will get after-school resources and education support, and in all caps, creative writing for all.
Creative writing for all. What we got? A new resource will be built and to expand and assist those that are in need to be in a home. I love the Habitat Restore. It always has a very special place in my heart. I've worked there quite a bit.
One of our colleagues here, he volunteers at the Restore every single weekend. He's a wonderful guy. You'll probably see him. His name is Eric. He's in the chat right now. He's answering questions, but he is a Restore fan.
Oh, yeah. We got more men of color will be enrolling and staying in college. I'm a man of color who enrolled and stayed in college. I like that mission.
Let's see, I'll solidify and create new relationships between community-based organizations, corporations, and school districts to help improve STEM education in Boston.
Runatu said, hi, Eric. Eric, you want to say hi?
Hello.
Everyone, this is Eric.
You guys are awesome.
Yeah, Eric's in the chat, chatting back to you guys, answering some questions, assigning some questions so we can get to them at the end. We appreciate it, Eric.
Let's see, if I succeed in my program, poor people will be able to decide on how and where direct services are implemented because they know what they need best.
Oh, that is
great. Working with the community
and getting community input. You want
yeah.
their buy-in. Your programs aren't going to work unless your community is like, yeah, cool, we support that.
Exactly, and like we said, like you don't just parachute in and like, you know, fix everything. You have to work with the community. That's the only way it's going to be sustainable when they have a stake in it.
Totally. All right, so, man, these are some excellent answers again. And again, it's super inspiring to see, you know, take these things, write them down, and revisit them and come back and look at them. Like, what you're writing, like, this is a mission statement. You're saying, this is my vision for my service, and we'll be working towards that, make that happen. And we're here to give you resources and to try to help you make these wonderful things happen.
Yeah, all throughout your journey.
Totally. So, you know, some vistas produce innovative programming to serve the needs of their community, you know, and others leave their organizations with a sustainable future because of the funding that they generated. Some people, you know, start programs that, you know, again, last well beyond their Vista years. So.
Yeah, and there's always other stories of V on the Vista forum talks about, you know, people who've served their experiences, what's worked well, what's been a challenge. So always check those out as well. So before we move on, we just want to quickly review what we've covered. So first, we looked at why we're using a blended training approach. We reviewed the 4-week schedule of PSO Blend. So we told you kind of what to expect during the weeks, when we're going to see you next. Like Calvin mentioned, we also talk about the technology that you'll use and your role in this training. We looked briefly at the history of VISTA and how it relates to other national service programs. I'm going to be posting a link if you want to learn more about the history of VISTA. We did, last year was our 50th anniversary, and we created this really interactive timeline that shows U.S. history events for starting in like the 60s all the way through 2015. And it shows VISTA on the other side, like this is going on in the U.S. and this is what VISTA did. So it's great for all of you history buffs out there. Then we dove into the VISTA mission. So with that history, there's the mission, its key principles, and how it really relates to what you're going to be doing day to day. And finally, we shared with you some of the impact VISTA members have had in this past year. That's a lot, Calvin. We did a lot.
We've already covered a lot of stuff. But I do want to say that what's coming up is arguably the most important part of this presentation. So if you've been sort of half listening, multitasking, now is the time to perk up those ears, pay attention, because we're going to cover some really, really important information that's going to directly affect really whether you get paid, whether we're going to let you be a VISTA or not. So again, pay attention to the next 10 minutes because we really need you to get this stuff down.
Exactly. So you ready, Calvin?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Right. So immediate actions by close of business today. You need to certify your terms and conditions acceptance if you haven't already done this. You also need to complete any missing onboarding forms like W-4, direct deposit, end of service benefits,
life insurance,
designation of beneficiary, all of those sorts of things. Make sure those are done. And change from the stipend to the education award if you are unsure of which one you want. As we spoke briefly earlier, and as Eric has put in the chat, we are going to talk more about benefits a little bit more on Wednesday. However, I want to make sure you guys are aware of this. If you choose the stipend, the end-of-service stipend benefit now, you can never change to the education award. If you choose the education award now and 6 months into service you say, no, I just want the cash stipend, you can switch up until your 10th month of service from the education award to the stipend. So if you are on the fence at all, if you don't know what you want to do yet, you don't know what you want to do at the end of your service, we suggest that you choose the education award now because you can change it up until your 10th month.
Totally. And someone in the chat, Samuel, I can't say your last name. I'm so sorry. I don't want to butcher it. But they said, is there an easy way to double-check this? And yes, there is.
Great.
Log into your MyAmericorps account. Click on all those tabs. Make sure that if there's any information missing, fill it in.
Right.
In your information packet, we sent you the kind of guide to entering VISTA service. It says you need to have all 5 of these things done. You need to have these things done. Just go back and double-check those things. That is the easiest way to check it. I mean, if you ask us, we're going to do the same thing. Eliminate us from that process and just double check on your own. If you're missing anything, we'll let you know, but that's how you can double check. Go back in there and just click on all those links, make sure that you've completed all of those forms.
Exactly. And we're going to talk about this here in a few seconds, but we want you to complete and send the oath form through your supervisor. We're going to talk more about the oath, what to do with the oath form, and how to submit it here in a second, but that's what else you need to do today. You also, as Calvin said, log into your online classroom. Right after this webinar, you'll receive an email with a link to that classroom, so make sure you follow it and log in today. And finally, get your fingerprint kit and get that done this week if possible. There have been some questions about the fingerprint kit. We're going to talk about it here in a few moments, but those are kind of the things. You need to take a screenshot of this screen right here to know what you need to do today. Go ahead and do that.
Yeah, because this is very, very important. We can't pay you, we can't get you into service, we can't get you help in it, we can't do anything unless all of these things are done.
Exactly. Please let us pay you.
Please let us pay you. All right, so let's talk about fingerprints and the criminal history check for just a second. We do this to protect the community members and the volunteers that we work with, yourselves included. There are 2 convictions that automatically disqualify a person from VISTA service. That's any sexual offense and any violence against a minor. There are 2 other conditions that don't necessarily disqualify you, but that could be an issue. Those are being on probation or parole or facing charges because you don't know the fate of your future. And the other is failure to disclose your criminal history. First, you need to get fingerprinted, and they have to be sent to here at VISTA headquarters. If you were already fingerprinted for your project, you shouldn't have been. Well, maybe you should have been, but they didn't come here because you didn't get. You should be receiving that fingerprint kit today. Your supervisor will provide you with the fingerprinting cards and instructions for getting fingerprints taken and getting them sent here to VISTA. So please ask for the fingerprint kit if you haven't already gotten it. You have 5 weeks to get them in, but please do not wait until the last minute. If anything goes wrong and you lose them, it could affect your service. If your supervisor doesn't have a fingerprint kit or they don't know what you're talking about, tell them to email your state office. They email my state office, they can provide it with you. They can provide you with a fingerprint kit and make sure that you get that. So if you ask your supervisor, say, hey, I need my fingerprint kit, they say, I don't know what you're talking about, say, cool. Calvin said to email our state office and that we can get one that way. And then you'll get a fingerprint kit.
Done.
The second thing is that when you applied, we asked if you've ever been convicted of a crime. Now, you may not have disclosed everything, not just 10 years back, or because maybe you thought a DUI is a minor traffic violation, or that you were a minor and maybe it was expunged. But if you fail to disclose any conviction, even if you thought it was expunged, fill out the criminal history questionnaire that's included with the fingerprint cards and send it in as instructed. If you have a string of arrests where the charges were dropped, it'd be really appreciated if you listed those as well. That's not required, but it's really helpful in our review. When the FBI report comes back, we compare it to your disclosures in the application and on the form. If everything aligns, then you don't hear from us. But if there's a conviction that you haven't disclosed, it's grounds for dismissal, and there's like a really extensive follow-up. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff to follow up with if you don't get that into us, or if they don't match up. You don't want to hear from the lawyers. It's a whole messy, gross thing that no one likes to get involved with. So make sure that you're disclosing and make sure that you're getting those kits in on time.
So next steps. We've talked about a few immediate actions that you need to complete by today. So now let's look at some other elements of the PSO blend that's coming up this week and beyond. So, as we mentioned, you'll be getting an email soon after today's webinar with instructions on your classroom. You're going to want to log in right away and start working on the 3 fieldwork assignments. First one is your minute intro. It's an activity that guides you in creating a very short video to introduce yourself and your VISTA role to others. Your VISTA assignment worksheet. The worksheet helps you unpack your VISTA assignment description so that you can better understand your role. And then there's how is poverty measured. This fun video explains how the official poverty rate is determined. On Wednesday, we'll be back in a follow-up webinar called Accomplishing Your VISTA Assignment, and it's at the same time as this one. So if you made it here today at this time, you're going to make it here on Wednesday at this time. This coming Sunday night, your 3 fieldwork assignments are due. And then next Wednesday, September 21st, you'll get together online with 30 other students in your online classroom. This information, all of this stuff, and when things are due are all found in the guide to entering VISTA service that you received right before, before you started PSO before you started service. So keep an eye out on that. You know, you've got that in your email, Guide to Entering VISTA Service.
Yeah.
It probably even said the titles like things you need to do before starting VISTA.
Yeah, it's that PDF that had the registration link to this webinar.
Yes.
So if you look in that, it's got that info in there.
Exactly. So there's a little calendar. You can take that calendar and post it on your desk. Do what you need to do, but make sure you're in these because they're a required part of your service. So as mentioned earlier, please email vistacourses@educationnorthwest.org if you have any trouble logging into your online classroom. You can also send other technical questions to this address. Or better yet, once you're logged in, post to the technical questions forum in your online classroom. That way, if the question is one that your classmates can also have, then they'll be able to see the answer too. Your facilitator is someone that you can seek help from with the curriculum of PSO Blend. You also have your VISTA supervisor, or if you have a VISTA leader, questions about your project or your assignment. Then, as I mentioned, there's the National Service Hotline and the VISTA Member Support Unit for questions about the VISTA program, such as policies, benefits, and requirements. And you also have access to your state office. So as Calvin mentioned, if you don't have your fingerprint kit, your supervisor has no idea what you're talking about, that's who you want to talk to is your state office. Yeah, and let's plug how do you get in touch with your state office. It's super, super easy. Basically, it's the state that you're serving in. So let's say you're serving in Texas. You're going to email tx@cns.gov. So it's your state abbreviation at cns.gov. If you're in Florida, that's going to be an FL@cns.gov. West Virginia, WV@cns.gov, and so on and so forth. So that's an easy way to get in touch. But also, I mean, if you have any questions about anything, you can go to really any one of these resources, and it'll get back to the person that needs to. Just know that nothing ever gets lost in VISTA. We always make sure to follow up with everyone. All right, so you are ready to, I'm saying CNS. I just put it in there. There it is. I just put a little example. Florida, C, N as in nut.
Nut, Nancy. N as in
I don't know those things. I just say random things.
All right, guys, so we are getting ready to take the oath of service. To do this, you need the AmeriCorps VISTA oath form, which your supervisor should have given to you. If you don't have it handy, you can print it from the VISTA campus using the link in the chat. So Jenny Farrell just posted a link. That is the link to the oath form. That's what you see on the screen right there. So I have a few instructions for filling out the form. These may seem obvious, but you'd be surprised at the things people submit. So number one, print your full legal name, which is the name that you used in your AmeriCorps application. Number two, give the name of the organization that is sponsoring your VISTA project, likely the organization where you're serving. Number three, put the city and state where you are serving. Number four, put today's date as the date entered on duty. Today is 9/12. Today is your first day of service. So, that's what you should be doing. Like, you're putting 9/12 because of the day you're starting. After you take the oath, please sign and date the form on the line in the white area. Do not write anything in the shaded area. Again, do not write anything in the shaded area. Your supervisor does not sign this form. So for the person that asked, they said, hey, who's authorized to sign this form? It is us, the VISTA program, not your supervisor. So all you got to do, fill out boxes 1 through 4, sign and date in the white section, hand it over to your supervisor. They'll send it over to us, to your state office. So I think those are pretty straightforward and clear instructions, I hope. It's a really easy process. Get that form, either print it from that link or get it from your supervisor. Fill out 1 through 4, sign it in box 5, pass it off to your supervisor who will send it to your state office, and then you're done. This is a very, very, very important process. This is one of those things we cannot pay you without getting this form back. So if we don't receive this form that is signed and filled out to completion, we can't pay you. So this is what is our CNCS state office. That is the state. Every state has a state office. It's the state that you're serving in. So I don't know, Sequoia, I don't know where you're serving, but if you're serving, let's say in Georgia, if you're in Atlanta, Georgia, Georgia is most likely your state office, so it needs to go there. How do I print the form? Go to that link that is just posted into the chat. I just want to make sure everyone's got this. So, I mean, I can sit here for a second. Print and Cooper Sheldon, print and scan. That is exactly it. Print it, fill it out, scan and email it. I mean, it's a very simple process. So I just want to make sure you guys got it, because this will hold you up from getting paid if we don't receive this form.
Exactly.
And I hate to be so somber and solemn about that, but we got to harp on this one, because we really want you to.
We want to pay you.
We want to pay you. Make sure you get it.
Exactly. So what is this oath? What is it? You're reading all this stuff on there. So what is it? So let's consider the oath that you're about to take, because you really shouldn't take it lightly. This is the same oath taken by all federal employees, up to and including the Vice President. The President's oath is just a little bit different. It includes the phrase, to defend the Constitution of the United States. Defend. This is not a call to arms. For some reason, in some positions, it may be. But for most of us, defense of the Constitution may just be the opposite of using arms. The Constitution is not an administration, not even a flag. Rather, it embodies the principles that elevate us from a loosely organized group on the North American continent, to a civil society. We're pledging to defend the document that contains our civil rights. So against all enemies, let us all as community builders and as change agents and simply as citizens choose our enemies carefully. More often, an enemy is a reflection of ourselves in bad light. Build bridges before you make enemies, and we will all profit. In the context of VISTA, of course, the enemy is what? Poverty. Okay, two more things about the oath. First, you may replace the word swear with the word affirm if you so choose. And you may also omit the phrase, so help me God, if you so choose.
Lovely. So I want to recognize that since we're all in different locations around the country, scattered in so many sites and so many states, that we don't have the benefit of hearing each other's voices as we recite this. But it's pretty cool to know that as you're taking the oath, scores of your fellow Vistas are doing the same, 359 to be exact, are doing the same at the same time all across America. Now, it may seem awkward to recite the oath out loud while you're alone in a room, or maybe you're not alone in a room and you're just going to be talking out loud. But really, you're taking the oath for yourself. So do it and make it count. Now, please raise your right hand and recite the oath aloud with me. I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I'm about to enter. So help me God.
Woo!
All right, so congratulations. That is, I mean, that's your step. That is, you know, you guys are Vistas now.
Woo!
So way to go. Someone says, I'm at McDonald's and I'm not going to say it out loud.
Charisma, you need to be on site. I don't know why you're at McDonald's.
Yeah, why are you at McDonald's and not at your project site? That could be an issue, but, you know, we can talk about that offline.
Yeah.
All right, so now that you guys have done this, you know, again, sign it, date it, hand it to your supervisor who will scan and email it to your state office. Yep. That is, I mean, can't say it any clearer than that.
All right, so there's a few questions about this. Before we move on, let's tackle these, Calvin. So my supervisor is not on site. If I fill out my oath, is there an email I can send it to, or should I be trying to get in touch with the state office? So you should email it to your supervisor. If they're out for like the whole week, they should have delegated somebody in their position to accept that oath. If they're only out of the office, you know, it's 4 o'clock, they're out of the office today for the rest of the day, email it to them, and then they should hopefully get it to you, like get it to your state office tomorrow morning.
Casey says, can I complete the oath form electronically and sign it within a WPDF? The answer is no. It has to be signed with pen and ink, scanned and sent. We've tried to get around it, but we can't do it. So no, it cannot be signed electronically.
All right. So, darn it, Charisma. I wish you'd been on site to do this rather than at McDonald's, but you need to submit that to your supervisor. Michelle, you said, what if we don't have a supervisor, that they're trying to hire someone? They should have someone in that position to supervise you. So that's something that you would need to follow up with your state office about, because if there's not someone at site you need to talk to them.
Yeah, you should be reporting to someone. If today's your first day on your project and you don't have anyone to report to, how are you going to know what you're doing? So whoever it is that you're checking in with, whoever is your point person right now, they should know what to do with that oath form. If they don't, contact your state office and say, hey, I've got this form, I don't have a supervisor right now.
Okay, awesome.
Email said they don't take photocopies. We do take a photocopy. I don't know what email that is, but you can scan it and send it to us.
You just can't take a photo of it and send it. So, we want to now get to the part of the presentation where we can answer some of your questions, but first we do have an evaluation we'd like you to take. Just take a few moments, let us know what you thought. If you thought Calvin and I are the best people on earth, we appreciate that compliment. And agree wholeheartedly. No, I'm just kidding. But we do want to know what you think. We want to know how we can improve these webinars. You know, what can make it better for next time, what you liked, what you want more of. So please take some time to fill that out because we really do care what you think.
Yeah, totally.
So while you're doing that, we've given you a lot to think about. And so we want to answer some of those burning questions that we know that you have. So I'm going to ask the operator to come on the line and let us know how you can answer or ask a question over the phone, but you can also ask a question in the Q&A panel located in the right of your screen. So Julie, are you there? Can you let us know how to ask a question over the phone?
I am, ma'am. If you have a question, please press *1 on your phone. You will be asked to record your name. Once again, if you have a question, press *1, unmute your phone, and record your name clearly. And one moment for the first question.
All right, thank you so much, Julie. So while we're waiting, let's look through the Q&A and take some questions.
Okay, I'm going to reiterate this because it's a question that came up, but I want to make sure they're, this is answered. What if I don't have a fingerprint kit yet? So as Calvin said, so if you're on site, you should talk to your supervisor and say, hey, I need my fingerprint kit. If they say, I don't know what you're talking about, I don't have that, say, I need to email my state office because I need to get that information. So state office is the initial of your state at cns.gov.
Yeah, and again, Aaron said, who does our supervisor email the oath to? Aaron, come on, Aaron. So it's going to be, they're going to email that to your state office. I don't know.
They email it to your
state office. I mean, that's it. I don't know how to say that.
They should know who to email it to. If there are any questions, once again, contact the state office because that's who it has to eventually go to anyway.
Yep. All right, so let's go down this Q&A. Rabia, we're just going to go down the list. What's the best way to know how much to put aside for state taxes once tax season comes around?
Good one.
Great question. We're going to talk about that on Wednesday. That's going to be an excellent question for Wednesday when we talk about your living allowance, your benefits, all that good stuff. The short answer is contact your state tax office, Department of Revenue, and they can help you estimate that.
Exactly. So let's see what other questions we have here.
Let's see. Jeff says, for health insurance, we will get forms within a few days to make a choice, correct? Or do I need to make a decision today? Jeff, you don't need to make a decision today. We're going to go over this on Wednesday and lay out your options for health care. And we'll talk about it and give you all the next steps to do with that one.
Gladys is amazing. Gladys in here posted the link on nationalservice.gov, how to find the state office.
Yes, come on,
Gladys. Woo!
Gladys coming through. Team player.
So Amber asked a good question. What if my prints are already in the system because I worked with children? You still have to do it through us, Amber. You still have to use our cards. You still have to, get them ink printed and send them to Vista HQ. Another question came in. Can I get them digitally done? No, we do not accept electronic fingerprints. You have to get it done on the hard copy fingerprint cards. You're going to get 2 of them, and you need to send them to Vista HQ. That is even including if your project does their own fingerprinting, you still need to do ours as well. We just, we got to do that. All right, so Noel, I'm sorry, probably Noel. Noel, will I not get paid because I don't have my fingerprint kit in yet? No. So you have 5 weeks to do your fingerprints. You have 5 weeks to, get them taken and send them to Vista HQ. The deadline for those fingerprints was on your guide to entering Vista service. So no, as long as you turn in your oath and you have all your forms done, you'll get paid. However, there could be implications for your service if you do not submit your fingerprints by the 5-week deadline. It could give the potential of removing you from service. So that's why we suggest you get these fingerprints done as soon as possible.
Yeah. Also, I want to make a reminder before we read more questions to put your questions in the Q&A box. We can't keep up with them in the chat. I see a lot of questions up there. We really appreciate you asking questions, but we can't keep up with them in the chat. If you put them in the Q&A, we're able to easily sort through them. So please, again, I mean, if you have questions, throw them in the Q&A box and not the chat box, because we want to make sure that we're answering you. All right, let's see, and let's go through these. Andrea, will there be a reminder email of missing information? After today, there won't be a reminder unless you're missing something. So it's going to be on you now to be proactive and take a look and make sure that you've got those forms completed.
Colin here asks, can you send email to work email and not what is in the MyAmericorps site, or can we change email in AmeriCorps? So that's a great question. I know a lot of you maybe have just graduated school. You still have your .edu address in your MyAmericorps account. That is our, I don't say bread and butter, but we go off of what is in your MyAmericorps account fully. So if if that needs to be updated, if you no longer check that email address anymore, that's what's in MyAmericorps. If it's expired, you need to update that immediately to be what you check. A caveat to this is that we've already assigned you to your online classrooms. So we've already created an online classroom for you based on what was in your MyAmericorps account today already. So you need to make sure you check that email, but once you log in to the online classroom, you should be able to change your email there. But you should always make sure that your MyAmericorps email address is what you check often.
Yeah. All right, so we got, what if you're not available for a Webline meetup because of orientation or training for, I'm assuming this is maybe going to say your project, I don't know, it's cut off. All of the webinars and meetups are required for your service. This is a part of your orientation and a part of your job. So maybe ask your orientation person or whoever you're doing training with if they can reschedule, because these are required webinars and required meetups. If you're having conflict, you can email me back and we can chat about it, but that is kind of where we're at on that one.
So Jeremy asked here, what should I be doing on week 1? So just to recap what this week is. So you joined our webinar. Thank you, Jeremy. Wednesday, we're going to come back, and you're going to be with us here again at the same time, same place on Wednesday. And then on Sunday, which I guess is technically next week, but Sunday you have 3 assignments due. And more information about those assignments will be in your online classroom. You can also view a full agenda and a full schedule of PSO Blend and assignments and due dates and webinars and everything on that guide to entering Vista service that you received via email.
All right, let's take a second to see if we have any questions on the phone. Julie, do you have anyone on the phone?
We do, and as a reminder, you can press *1 if you do have a question. And the first question comes from Catherine Johnson. Your line is open.
Hello.
Hi, I think everything was answered, although I would like to get the email for if I have any problems with the online classroom being sent to my email.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Vista Courses at educationnorthwest.org, and we'll put that in the chat.
It was Vista Courses at Education
Northwest. .org.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you, and that was the only phone question. I'll let you know if anyone else queues up.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. All right, so let's see. What do we got else?
Aubrey here asked, is there any coursework due tonight before midnight? So, Aubrey, the only thing that is due tonight at midnight is if you haven't done your onboarding forms and courses yet. So if you haven't done your terms and conditions course, if you haven't done your direct deposit or any of those other required forms, that is what has to be due at midnight. If you've already done all that, you're golden. You don't need to do anything else for homework or field work tonight. The only thing that you need to do by midnight tonight is if those things have not yet been completed.
Yep. Let's see, Robert Fisher, where can we find the pay schedule so we can begin setting our financial plans? I'm going to go ahead and post that schedule in the chat one more time. I just posted in there, but that's your living allowance schedule, and we'll go deeper into that on Wednesday.
This is a great question. Jeremy, can we count homework as time serving as a VISTA on timesheet? Yes. So that's part of your VISTA assignment. You're officially a VISTA starting today. So your VISTA fieldwork, those assignments, now granted they shouldn't take 40 hours a week for one assignment, but yes, those are part of your VISTA experience, and a lot of these should help you as you go through OSOT, your on-site orientation and training. So yes, you can do those assignments while you're serving as a VISTA.
Oh, and Mariah says, what if I already selected the cash allowance and I really want the education award? I chose well before I was given enough info. So we do send you through that benefits hub course, so hopefully you took a look at that and were able to see the benefits of each end-of-service option. But if you do not want the stipend, please change today by midnight. That's one of the things that you're going to want to do immediately once you're activated for service, which means that we push a button that says we've gotten all of your paperwork, everything's good to go. Once we do that, you can't change back. So if you want to change from the stipend to the education award, you do that today.
We got a question here from Kayla. What if we have school on Wednesday at 3? Kayla, as Calvin mentioned, and this is for everyone on the phone, these webinars, these meetups, these assignments are part of your VISTA service and are required and essential. Your VISTA assignment in general must take precedence over a part-time job, over schoolwork, and it must be your priority. So I would contact your school and see if there's a makeup session that you can do, because these sessions cannot be made up. So you must be present on the webinars and the meetups and turn in the assignments on time as part of your VISTA service.
Yeah, and it goes, I would check with your professor to see if maybe there's a way that you can make it up. Or ask them to sort of work around your work schedule and not the other way around. Michelle Hatt says, are you allowed to redo your relocation assessments? I ended up spending a lot more money than I was rewarded. Now I'm worried I won't have enough for the rest of the year. I'm sorry, Michelle, unfortunately there's not. Once those are done, those are done. We calculate the mileage between your 2 points, and we reimburse at a flat mileage rate. So there's no way to really get more or less than you received, because it is just straight up mileage.
Here's another great question. It says, when will I be able to put a request to put my loans in forbearance? And there was also another question about, hey, I'm trying to get a service letter, but it shows that I can't. So as we've mentioned during this webinar, you need to get your forms done. You need to get your courses done, and you need to turn in that oath form before you can be paid and shown up as active in our system. So once we get all that information, we will get you activated in our system, showing as currently serving within 5 days. So in about a week or so, you will have access to put your loans in forbearance, to get those service letters, to do those things that you don't have access to yet because we can't put you officially in service. So that's why it's imperative that you send us your oath, you get all that stuff done so that we can pay you.
Totally. Let's see. When will we hear more about our homework, or will that wait till Wednesday? Right after this, you're going to receive an email letting you log into your online classroom, log in there, and that is where you have some info. There's also information in that guide to entering service that was sent out.
Let's see here.
Do we have any questions on the phone, Julie?
Not at this time, but as a reminder, please press *1 on your phone if you do have a question.
Thanks.
All right. So one person here asked a question. Lorenza asked, how many hours per week are we doing coursework, webinars, et cetera? I need to make a calendar with my director, and she is asking me. So that's a great question. Like, how much time should this take? So this first week, you know, you have homework, you have 3 homework assignments, and then you have these 2 webinars at an hour and a half each. So 3 hours, so it's another 3. So I can say about 6 or 7 hours this first week. The second week, you can really look based on the guide to entering VISTA service. We think that the overall time it should take you for all of PSO should be about anywhere from 12 to 15 hours total. That includes webinars, that includes meetups, that includes homework assignments. So that's all total, 15 hours. So hopefully that helps you out there, Lorenza.
Yeah, and you can find, again, the schedule, the calendar, and the guide to entering service. Let's see, Angel.
I'm sorry, I have a couple of phone line questions if you'd like to take them.
Oh, yeah, totally. Let's do it.
Mike Russell, your line is open.
Yes, I'm wondering how I can add a criminal arrest to my...
Oh, okay. Mike, so what you're going to do is, along with your fingerprint code, so you're going to get 2 fingerprint cards, an info sheet, and a criminal history disclosure form. That disclosure form, it's really simple. It takes about 3 minutes to fill out. That's where you write down, you know, whatever it is that you need to disclose.
Excellent. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. The next question comes from Becky Anderson. Your line is open, ma'am.
Hi, Becky.
Hi, it's actually Zakia, but
Oh, Zakia, what's up?
I'm doing well. I'm trying to look at the living allowance calendar. Is this from this year? I don't see 9/12 as a start date on this form.
So 9/12 isn't actually going to be a start date on there. So what you see is a start date and an end date, and what that is the pay period. So since you guys are starting on 9/12, that's going to fall between 9/4 and 9/17. So what that means is that your first pay day, assuming everything gets into us on time, all of your forms and your oath and everything, will be 9/23.
Okay. So follow it, but it's done by the week that we're getting paid for.
So it's based on where you're serving. So here's the thing. So there's 400 of you just about. So we have to get all your oaths. We have to activate you within 5 days before payroll runs. So this pay period ends on Saturday of this week. So payroll runs next Tuesday. So the VISTA member support unit is going to work rapidly to get you activated. And all you need to know is that your first official start date or your first official pay date will be 9/23.
Okay.
And you'll be paid for the days in this pay period that you served. We'll talk about this more on Wednesday.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, and no other questions. If you do have a question, please press *1.
All right, so let's see. Angel says, are we penalized for working more than 40 hours a week? No, you're not. Sometimes you may have to. Let's see.
All right.
Let's see. Courtney, I think we just answered that one. How much time should you budget for weekly fieldwork assignments? Thanks for all your help. Again, we have 2 webinars this week, each about an hour and a half. And then for your fieldwork assignments, I would say maybe an hour this week, hour next week.
It's about 12 to 15 hours total VISTA time.
Yeah, and again, take a look at that guide entering service. I mean, we provide a calendar, you know, that says when your assignments are due, when your webinars are. So you can take a look at that. Go ahead and log into your online log into your online classroom. Take a look at your assignments, you know, and that'll help you really gauge like how much time is it going to take for me to do these assignments. Again, you'll get that. You'll get the login info right after this is over. All right, so let's see.
And we know there's a lot of questions. We see a lot of questions here about non-competitive eligibility, allowed to work part-time jobs, about the living allowance, when your first official payday is going to be, how much is that payment going to be for. As we mentioned, we're going to talk about a lot of this on Wednesday during the webinar. I know these are pressing questions. I know that these things are on your mind and you want to get them answered as soon as possible. And we're going to answer them on Wednesday. So please, you know, follow up with us on Wednesday. Keep these good questions, and we'll make sure to answer them on Wednesday.
Yeah, so are we allowed to work part-time jobs? Someone gave some incorrect information. I'm sorry, Douglas, I don't want to call you out. The VISTAs are allowed to have part-time jobs, but there are a couple of guidelines of that. But again, we'll talk about that on Wednesday.
Let's see, can I have a link to check the homework since the voice wasn't clear and missed that? Nermian, this will be in the online classroom, that homework. So you'll get the email that has your online classroom login. That is where you'll find the assignments, and everything will be in there.
Yeah. Samuel says, I'm serving in the Seattle area, seeing that my CNCF state office has wa@cns.gov. Is that the email that I have my sponsor scan an email? Yes, that is it. You got it. It's your state office, your state abbreviation @cns.gov. You send it to that email address, it goes to your entire state office, and they get it back to us.
Sir, I do have a few more questions.
All right, let's do it.
Jeremy, your line is open.
Hello.
Yeah. My question is, can you count the homework off on your time?
Yes, you can. So as I mentioned, you know, this is part of your VISTA service. This is a requirement of VISTA service. You're a VISTA, so yes, you can use this, and your supervisor should provide you time to do the homework assignments and to participate in the webinars and the virtual meetups as part of your VISTA work, and should not require you to say, like, well, you spent an hour and a half on that webinar, make up that hour and a half for the work today.
Thank you. And the next question comes from Catherine Johnson. Your line is open.
Hello, Catherine.
Hi again. I was just wondering, where are these timesheets?
I'm not sure. So in regards to time and attendance, the VISTA program does not keep time and attendance on you. Your project may. So if you're looking for a timesheet or a way to track your time on your project, go ask your supervisor, because they're going to have the most information about that. The VISTA program has no hours requirement other than that you're working full time. Other than that, we aren't tracking that, but your project probably is. So ask your supervisor how your time and attendance works, because it's going to be different for every VISTA.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, Dominique said, oh, go ahead.
No other phone questions at this time, sorry.
All right.
Great. Dominique here said, will there be assignments every week all year? That's a great question. No. So for PSO Blend, no. This PSO is just 4 weeks in length, so you'll just have assignments due for the first 4 weeks of your service. We do provide a lot of different webinars and other interactive tools that you can voluntarily sign up for throughout your year, but this is just the only required period that we have for you.
Yeah. Emily says, if I'm getting a new bank account tomorrow, do I need to send in my current bank info today and then the new information tomorrow, or can I just wait until tomorrow? So, Emily, if you log into your MyAmeriCorps account, you're able to update your direct deposit information at any time. If you're getting a new bank account tomorrow, you can wait until tomorrow to do it. Don't wait too long, because we don't want some weird pay period thing to happen. So to be safe, go in, update, and change that information no later than probably Thursday of this week, and you'll be good to go. I need to add an arrest to my application. How do I do this? Again, there's a criminal history disclosure form that will be included with your fingerprint kit. That is where you will write that down and mail it in with your fingerprints.
All right. Someone else here asked, should we be completing these assignments on site as well? So this is a great question. So yes, the assignments, a lot of these assignments require you to be on site, require you to be in your communities to understand, what exactly is going on in your area. So yes. Another quick thing to note, because I know there was some confusion today. These webinars and these virtual meetups need to be done at site. So some of you are at your home. If your supervisor told you to go home to participate, you need to be on site doing these webinars. So Wednesday, you should be at your physical project site participating, all of that kind of good stuff. So yes, these should be completed on site. So yes, hopefully that answered your question, Angela.
All right. I think we're about done.
I know. And like we said, guys, we'll be here.
Yeah, and again, there's always great questions. If you have more questions after we hang up, you can call the VMSU. They'll be there until 5 Central today. Their phone number is, what is it for the hotline?
1-800-942-2677.
And I'm putting that in the chat, so you have that, 800-942-2677. That's the VISTA Member Support Unit, and they can help answer any questions that we weren't able to get to today. With that being said, we do want to thank everyone for joining us on this webinar. We want to, kind of wrap up and close out with a quote from Lyndon Johnson. On your idealism and on your success rests much of your hope for the final elimination of poverty in our American life. Lyndon Johnson, December 12, 1964. Thank you so much, everyone, and you all have a great day, and we will see you on Wednesday.